Network.
The boys are back. It's been a minute. We had all types of things going on, but we are back with another review, the Fourcast. We review movies, documentaries, films in a completely different way, 4 different perspectives, every single Monday night at 8:30 Central, and we are live and direct. We had the 2 cast last week. We got the Fourcast back together again at 8:30 Central.
Yep, we are back. We are back, mofos. Let the panty throwing begin. Send all XLs and 2XLs to H-Rap, all large and medium. You can send the King Dog. You small and extra small, we'll sort y'all out later.
And if you're commando, just come down front.
Will you come? He's waiting. But Wilkes, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good. You all right? I got a rib roast smoking, so that'll be a nice sandwich later after the show. So that'll be good.
My man, always looking at something.
Always
got something. Now you're gonna have to put it on pause for a minute. You have to go put yourself on mute so you can
no, it's good. It'll make it to the end of the show.
All right. H-Rap in the building. We was rolling solo dolo last week, but how you doing?
I'm good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, and make sure you commented and said y'all gonna be surprised or somebody's gonna be surprised. So I want you to elaborate on that later. I was surprised on one particular part. I'm sure y'all was maybe too. But Doc, how you doing? How you feeling?
No, I'm fantastic, man. Fresh off the Babyface and Kim concert last night. So a little sleep deprived, but other than that, fantastic.
All right. Let's get into it. Let's give a couple of shout outs here. Raider Kev in the building. He says, what's up, Teresa? I don't know, maybe Teresa hit the like button or something.
No, you can't see it. That's what I was doing. You can see Rocker Park on YouTube, but you can't see it in the chat room.
Okay.
That's weird. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and commenting. CJ said, I didn't know this was a sitcom with that applause button. Yeah, man. We got somebody, my daughter over here holding the sign up for the crowd to get a round of applause.
Very nice.
They call that an audience, sir, not the crowd.
Denise, Milk and Cookies in the building. Thank you for tuning in. Said just got off work. We appreciate you for tuning in right when you get off work. CJ, A-Trap, and Ben was it with the last podcast. Yeah, but we back. DJ Knox, Big Illinois in the building. All right, so we are coming at you guys tonight with a HBO original, Frederick Douglass in 5 speeches. This is something I kind of just came across because I was just kind of looking at seeing what we could review. This seemed right up our alley. Frederick Douglass, obviously an amazing person. And this was talking about his 5 famous speeches, or his most famous speeches, how they all came about, and they had different actors reciting them. You can kind of see over my shoulder some of the names of the actors, which I thought it was well done. But let's get into some initial thoughts here. We're gonna go to A-Trap first.
It was a very good documentary. It gave you a peek inside Frederick Douglass, but only I wish they did more information on Fred, because I mean, I understand it was about the speeches, so, but it's just I'm from my point of view, Gates is problematic anytime he shows up on the screen.
As soon as he popped up, I was like, "Oh no!"
I was like, this is going bad.
A-Trap was like, "Not this nigga."
Yeah, man. I mean, but overall, it was done well. And just because I have an issue with Gates does not mean I won't pay attention, because Gates does great work. I just think he operates soundly in this. When he's talking about our community, he operates from a social structure perspective, and it seems as if he, instead of telling the truth, he tries to make everyone comfortable.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about history, especially the United States history, you got to break some eggs, man. I mean, it's okay. And I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite with what I'm gonna say later. From what I just said, is gonna make me sound hypocritical. But yeah, I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But otherwise, I mean, it was a great documentary, man. It was great information. Hopefully, if people get to watch it, it'll spur on thought and make people comfortable with the whole get down.
Yeah, Big Illinois with a great question. Yeah, how do you get this dude's hair was on point, especially with these photos. You could see the curls in the hair, like, man, and it didn't look like he was doing a lot to it. That was just how his hair was. So I mean, a lot of these photos I thought was really dope. All right, Doc, initial thoughts on this.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. I thought the opening was very powerful with Jonathan Majors from The Harder They Fall. And one of the statements made early on, having to defend your humanity every time you stepped on the stage. Right. And my perspective, it differs a bit from A-Trap's in the sense that, I'm basically looking at it from a layman's perspective. And, he made the comment, you got to crack a few eggs. Well, let me just say this, every documentary or all information can't be disseminated the same way because you're trying to reach different audiences. So for some folks to even listen, to even, get the perspective given to them at all and be willing to listen, you may have to shout through it, right? We have these people in the world that are, they say that I'm brutally honest. Well, those folks to me and rub me the wrong way most of the time. To me, you can get a message across without having to be brutal about your honesty. Just be honest. It doesn't have to be brutally honest. Right. It's like they take some solace in the fact that I'm finna get this shit to you raw, and I don't need it raw. Shit, don't raw dog me. Give it, put some protection on when you give it to me if you want me to hear it, And again, as you said, me and A-Trap again, something else in common. He says, I may contradict myself. Well, I may contradict myself because guess what? I have a problem with that sometimes in relationships. I just give you the information, and I'm not necessarily always sensitive to how I'm giving it to you, but there is merit in soft sharing it. So I appreciated it. And again, it made me look at Frederick Douglass in an entirely different way with much more reverence than I had in the past.
Yeah, me too. And I agree with you, A-Trap. I would have wanted more on him, but obviously it's about the speeches. So I think they didn't put a lot of information out there about him in particular. Obviously, it would have been nice.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ben. You said it's about the speeches. In fact, they said it all in the title, right? They were intentionally trying to tell us about him in 5 speeches. So I think that was their intent.
And that was, to me, that's hard to do in an hour. When it said an hour, I was thinking, okay, this got to be 5 parts. There's no way you can get this. And I got it all in underneath an hour.
Yeah.
Shout out.
They get you a nice appetizer into who Frederick Douglass is. I think that's a good way to put it. They don't give you the full course, 3-course, 4-course, 5-course meal, but they give you a nice little appetizer to where you're going to have some leftovers to take home.
Right. Shout out to, we're live on Twitch, so shout out to My Car. He said, hi, lads. Thank you for tuning in. We're live right now on BS3 TV on Roku. We're live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you watch podcasts or watch TV. Pretty
Maxie much. And matter of fact, let me just go and give a shout out to Tyrese Maxey, who just went over 20 again in game number 2, straight out of Garland, Texas, Tyrese Maxey,
Oh, he's out of
who is
Garland?
balling. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Who went to South Garland High School, went to the same high school I went to. He balling for the 76ers again. They giving Toronto all they can handle. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey and the East Side Posse.
All right, Wilkes, what's your thought?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought it was done well because I didn't know much about
Chief Rocker.
Frederick Douglass, and I know he's actually one of my mom's favorite people. So I think she's written some papers on him when she was in school, but I didn't really know much about. I mean, very significant through Black history. I mean, his picture was everywhere. I mean, he was always out front. There was always that side profile of him, and being young and the older Frederick Douglass. When I was watching this, and I've started this before, but I didn't go back and finish it. So I realized that I had started it, but I didn't watch it. But so I'd say this is probably I watched it about 3 times already. But my thing was when I watched this, and I might be getting ahead of myself, and maybe it's just me, but I felt a little Malcolm X, kind of Martin Luther King there a little bit, in that sense of like, you're pushing this home as far as you're treating me like I'm not a person. And then there was one mention where it was like, why are there slaves and why are the other ones masters? So I felt a little Malcolm X, but I say Malcolm X, but I guess he was Malcolm X before Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King before Martin Luther King. I kind of picked that up a little bit. That's why when I watched it, I was like, man, there's some some things to pick up there. So some parallels there. So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And yes, I would like to, hear more about him and read more about him. Like I said, my mom, I think she's written essays and papers on him. But no, this was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it was straight to the point. And I agree with Doc. It was an appetizer. It didn't give you everything, but it gave you enough. And everybody has seen a photo of Frederick Douglass. You cannot say, I don't know what he looked like, because that's a bald-faced lie. You know what he looks like because everybody's seen a photo of him. But Jonathan Majors with a nice opening, which, man, he's starting to get up there for me. Let's touch on this for a minute. It's kind of a sidebar, but he's getting up there for me like Lakeith Stanfield. He's going to be Creed 3, which they're working on right now. I think he's going to be the opposing fighter protagonist here. So, I mean, give me your thoughts on Jonathan Majors with opening this up, and then he also had a part towards the end of it. A-Trap, you want to go?
Before I do that, let's go for a fun fact. Well, a lot of people complain that Black History Month is in February. The reason Black History Month is in February is the celebration of the birth of Frederick Douglass. It started Black History Week to celebrate the history and Frederick Douglass. So next time you hear somebody say, hey, man, they gave us the shortest month. No, actually, we took the shortest month to celebrate one of the original people who stood up for your community. So I just get it grinds my gears.
Yeah, mine too now. After hearing you say that, now when I hear people say that, it's just like, nah, that's
right.
That's not right.
And it's not just, and of course we always say, they gave us February. It's like, it's not just February anymore. Black History Month is still going on.
365.
Right. And the funny thing is, Wilkes pretty much quoted the dude who started Black History Week. He said, if your history is only celebrated in 30 days, it ain't worth being celebrated.
Right.
Right. So, but Jonathan Majors is turning it, like you said, man, he turning into the man. He is multifaceted. He can be dramatic. He could be action packed. He could be, he could do it all, man. And I always find myself saying, who's gonna be the next? Anytime brothers show up on the screen, you go, is he gonna be the next? And it looks like Jonathan Majors is going to be the next. He's nice body, I suppose, a nice looking dude. He ain't no butt ugly dude or anything like that. So he light on the eyes. He's great at what he does. I mean, I haven't seen anything where he was prominently featured
That
that
was
it wasn't
bad.
good.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
with you. Yeah,
Yep.
and you did you notice, man, that when he was talking, you notice how reflective he was being? It was
Yeah.
like he was talking because he was doing a job, but at the
Right.
same time, it was hitting him a certain way, as if he was having a bit of an enlightening or an awakening himself, right?
Yeah.
Like we were getting to watch in front of our eyes him grow up into being, and I think one of the points that made that stand out for me is the fact that he said Frederick Douglass was around the same age then as I am now,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so it hit him a different way. And I thought he was growing up in front of our eyes, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
And I think too, with all of them, they showed emotion. This wasn't like this is just something I'm gonna memorize and I'm just gonna say
That's
it.
right. That's
It
right.
was passion. It made you think that you were hearing his voice, even though
Yeah.
you weren't. And another fun fact, which is beyond amazing, is that there's no audio of Frederick Douglass.
Nothing. Yeah. There's
No
usually always some
audio
kind
at
Wow.
all.
Yeah.
Somebody who is world renowned for his speeches and his writing, we've
Wow.
never heard his voice. Like that just blew my mind. Because I'm like, there's got to be some type of audio from him. There is zero audio of him, unless I'm
So
aware.
Ben, let me ask you this based on that. Were you at the church when I did the I Have a Dream speech? Were you there that night?
I
It was a
believe I
Monday
was.
night I did it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that helped me prepare for that I Have a Dream speech that I used to give quite a bit during on his birthday, the Sunday before his birthday, or during Black History Month. And that's how I prepared for it in order to get the voice inflection and how he pronounced words, because even if he pronounced words that were outside the traditional way, I wanted to pronounce them in the way that he pronounced it. Like when he said again, he didn't say again, he goes again and again.
Right.
Right. So that would be very difficult to do without the audio. And I'm telling you right now, as you're giving a speech that somebody's giving that powerful, when I say those words live on when you're saying them, and it takes you somewhere. So when I was giving that speech the very first time, one of my partners was standing next to me. They were quote unquote being the security guard, that you see around Dr. King and Malcolm X and people around them when they're doing their speeches. And dude said in the middle of it, he turned, because he was standing to my right, he turned and looked at me because he says, you went somewhere, you turned into somebody else. And it made him break character. And he looked at me like, nigga, you all right? Kind of thing. So when we got back to the green room, he's like, dog. He called me I. He was like, what happened? You went somewhere, and I'm like, I noticed you looked at me. He goes, yeah, because you hit this gear that, messed me up. I wasn't expecting it. I'm like, we put on this little skit. This finna be cute. And I'm like, you can't help it, because the words are so powerful. And again, and I'm going to say this, no disrespect to Dr. King, Douglass put the pen against King. Oh, the Douglass boy.
Oh, yeah, no. I that's why I said, I think, and then that's why I had to back up. I said there was some Dr. Martin, but it's not. It's like King and Malcolm X is pulling from
that. They
Frederick
got
Douglass.
to, man.
They had to be, because when I watched this the second time, I'm like, man.
And think about it, with as little access to education that he had compared to by the time they came about, the access that they had, and for him to have that skill, man, impressive.
That part blew me away, because we didn't know what he sounded like, but the way that they delivered it, you felt that pain, you felt that.
There you go.
Frustration.
There you go. And all of them, you notice how most of them tied it back to today? Because after, what I liked about it is that they kind of debriefed their speeches afterwards, right? And they had a little commentary about it. And almost all of them talked about how there's a parallel between what's happening today versus what they were doing back then. And we're talking about the 19th century, dude.
Right.
A guy who's born in 1818 talking about some of the same struggles, and giving some of the same perspectives that we share today.
Can't make this stuff up, man.
Yeah.
Make this stuff up.
For real.
Thank you, Alfred.
Steve Rockin in the building.
Okay, Alfred.
Put that pinky down.
Be great. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to open up the phone lines probably in a little while, but we'll give you the phone number. CJ saying that Tyrese Maxey crossed the
was
muck.
cold. I think is what he was trying to say. He was cold. I remember when I played him at AAU, that boy shook me in front of my parents. I was low-key heated. Hey, he shook a lot of folks, man.
It was on the floor like, mama.
Yeah.
There go that man.
Exactly. So New York City, May 1947. This was part one. I have come to tell you something.
1847. Yeah.
1847, excuse me. I have come to tell you something about slavery. And that speech right there, that was Denzel Whitaker that delivered that one. And yeah, I mean, people were amazed, but they were also torn up. They were like, they probably felt guilt, shame, because he was speaking to a white audience. That was the whole other part of this. It wasn't like he was speaking to his peers or other slaves. He was speaking to people that probably own slaves or knew people that own slaves. That part was to Wilkes's point about how he had to come up, he had to get up and do this over and over and over again. That's a life that you got to be a certain type of person to be able to do that.
Yeah, because by that point he was in New York, right? You know, am I right in that fact when he started giving his speeches, right? So I don't know that. I would think it would probably be closer to the fact that there are people who knew people who own slaves as opposed to them owning them. Because most of the people he was speaking to were abolitionists, right? You know, they were on the right side of history and the fact that they were trying to abolish slavery or trying to push for that movement. Now, that doesn't mean that some of the Black Panthers speeches and some of the Malcolm X speeches, that there weren't plants in the audience, you know, that kind of thing. I wouldn't put that past them, but for the most part, I think you're talking to an abolishment crowd, you know.
Yeah, and I think to one of the comments that was made, that even though he had somebody on his side, they were still telling him like, "Hey, you're sounding a little bit too much like this. You need to sound like that." And so I think that was kind of the rubbing him the wrong way.
Yeah,
like, you're not gonna halt what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they like he's too intelligent. You know, you're speaking too intelligently. You know, for them to really believe you used to be a slave. You know,
right, exactly. So it gets into, he was born into slavery, 1818.
Yep, Maryland.
Taught himself to read after the master's wife was helping him, but she was forbidden from teaching him. But that little bit that he got, I think, was that seed, you know, that we talk about sometimes. That seed was planted, and then from there on, you know,
and as we'll find out later, obviously she was smelling good because he liked that white lady.
Because the likes of that Charlie that they had back in the day.
Yeah, she had on something. So maybe she had the first ever Elizabeth Taylor on shit. I don't know.
But see, this is why I don't like Gates. Gates stopped right short of the truth with that statement. The statement that the lady who owned him, when the lady was teaching him how to read, they didn't make the complete statement. The statement was, if you teach them how to read, they ain't gonna be no good as slaves, because then they gonna think they too good to be slaves. And Gates, he always does that. He walks it. You know, this comedian said it once. He always give you a penguin blowjob with the information. He give you information, then he make you go track it down. You know,
right? Yeah, because all he said was the education equals unmanageable and unvaluable as a slave, and that's it.
He actually said education will make them realize who they are. And this is why Gates is so problematic in my world, in my mind, because dude, this is the honesty part I was touching on. It's like, bruh, this is why when people talk about the CRT thing, which is legal terminology, you don't learn it into law school. So why are we even talking about it? Because 99% of the people that walk the face of the earth will not be going to law school.
Yeah.
So, but that's why people like Sean Hannity and these people who putting out this propaganda about CRT, that's why they can win, because Gates will walk you right up to the edge, and then that sound good, and then go the other way. And meanwhile, you left a trap door there, and I just That's
Do
right.
you
So
think this is Gates' intentional delivery
yes,
method, or do you think
it happens.
I'm gonna tell you why the difference between, and this is where I'm asking just to play devil's advocate or a position of ignorance, right? Is the difference between a Luke delivered telling of a historical event versus a Mark or a John, based on the fact that he was a physician or he was a writer. You know what I'm saying? His style or his in-depth review is going to be a little different than the next guy.
If it wasn't, then later on when we talk, it was the third or the fourth speech. He mentioned something about Douglass that you could have left out too, but he okay. When he talk about HRAP, let's just say I become this world famous whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm the greatest podcaster in the world at some point one day, and in 100 years when they doing it for me, when HRAP was young, he participated in street activities. He sold crack cocaine, and then later on he don't ever want to tell the people, well, he was working with the CIA. He does it too consistently. He walks you up when it's one of us. He opens up the cabinet and shows everybody all the wares. But like when he talks about when he talk about the rest of the social structure, it's enough information so you'll know where you can piece together what happened. When you talk about the individual, it's all the ugly and gory details. I'm quite sure Ben will cover the part that I'm speaking of specifically, and that's why I said it's like, bruh, like I don't want to skip to that part because Ben may cover it, but
you're
I
right.
have to
No,
make my
skip.
point. Yes, I would say to make my point. He goes, he walks us up right up to not making this dude sound as horrific as he is. Because if we let these people read, they're gonna figure out they shouldn't be slaves and they shouldn't be slaves. Then we screw because we ain't gonna get no more free labor. Then down the road, when you kick the can down the road, he wants to talk about all the flaws in Frederick Douglass. He wants to talk about, he was womanizing and how he was this and he was that. And it's like, dude, you don't have to tell. That's something that could have been. If we're not gonna tell that part, we don't need to tell this part either. And he does that in all his documentaries. So I'm forced to believe this is purposely done. And he talked like even in this segment, he spoke about racism as if it was non-existent today. Well, he was doing that then, and he put emphasis on things as if it's not happening right now. We all said we could draw a direct line to everything Fred Douglass was saying to 2022, and he acts as if and speaks as if, well, it ain't really happening no more. So we're not gonna really trip about it, and that's why he's problematic to me. He does a great job. He did it in Who Shot Malcolm X. He excoriated the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He excoriated Malcolm X and his ill doings, and he glossed over the FBI and FBI's role in his assassination. He was like, well, and the FBI was there. Oh, they were there.
Right.
You had people in
Orchestrated
that damn documentary saying
Right.
they called all the police off. They were there. What? And it's just, man.
He gets lazy. I think on the other side of it.
I don't think he's lazy though.
But I think too, he doesn't want. I think the biggest thing is he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. He wants to keep it PG, and he doesn't want to make either side feel uncomfortable. I think that's just the way he chooses to do things. Now that may not be the right way. I mean, you need to tell the whole story, the good, bad, and the ugly on both sides. But he cut corners on that part. Now in this one, he didn't get a lot of airtime because they had the other guy, David Blight, and they had another historian. So I was appreciative that it wasn't all of him because they gave other different perspectives too. So,
but same with the Who Shot Malcolm X. You don't see him a lot, but then when the credits roll, you see his name.
Yeah.
and history is ugly, man. Especially America. American history is ugly as hell.
Oh, yeah.
And if you truly want a unified, well-informed country, don't just tell that time that I stole the cookies.
Yeah.
Tell the time when he stole the meal.
Right.
Well, don't say A-Trap stole the cookies and there was other thieves too. No.
Yeah.
So CJ, this is Henry Louis Gates. I don't think he was the director. I think he was a producer, I would say, of this. But yeah, Henry Louis Gates, that's his name. CJ said, Buddy sound like an op. Denise says she had on that cat or that kitty, one or the other. That sounded like he was talking to the cowgirls. Now, be quiet. Be quiet. Chief Rocky. You still a Giants fan, so you ain't got nothing to talk about.
At all.
At all. All right, so 1838. He went free in a sailor's uniform. Now, and what did he have? He had some type of documentation, right? That they mentioned.
Yeah, some documents of a free man.
Freedom papers.
Yeah, and they said if it had looked closely, they'd have saw that the description on the freedom papers were not anything like, what he looked like, But again, by the time the conductor who's checking that paperwork makes it back to the Negro car, shit, he ain't looking that close.
Right. Just another Negro.
They all look alike.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good one.
Now, so do you think this Gates thing, A-Trap, do you think there's any coincidence that his first wife, from what I can tell, was a white lady, his second wife's Hispanic lady? You think there's any
Dr. Gates' first wife? I don't know anything about Dr. Gates' first wife.
Yeah, I just noticed that, so okay.
You can date like I'm not one of these people that believe, hey man, if you talking this pro-black stuff, you got to be with a black woman. It might be more it might be received better, but you can fight for the cause. We assumed Judge Brown. We assume she down for the cause. We assume Kamala Harris down for the cause. I mean, hell, we like Obama. His mama white.
Mm.
So if just because you land with white people don't mean you thinking with white people. And hey, man, John Brown. Hey, you might have married the woman John Brown. So
that's a good question. That's a good question, CJ. What his real motives are? I don't know. That's a good question.
It's see, I'm a
relevance.
Relevance. That is because if I continue to put, I think that's the problem. That's why this country is in the shape it's in. We refuse to just say. The country refused to say, you know what, y'all, we screwed black people over. We sorry. It's always like, if I could find this clip, I can't think of her name. She was talking to this dude who used to be on Fox yesterday. He was literally, and I don't mean figuratively, he was literally trying to rewrite history in real time. She would play a piece of history and he would go, oh no. And at one point, it was so egregious, he knew he couldn't lie without making himself look like a damn fool.
Wow.
And it was like, he was like, well, I'm just going to leave. Yeah, because if you say anything, it's 3 people on the forecast. Bro, are you watching?
That's right. Fox News 101. They tell you that we're not a news station. We're an opinion network.
Yeah.
We don't really know
the court, and that was their defense then.
That's ridiculous. That whole station is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
So he literally went to court and said, we're not a news organization. We just use the word news to attract people.
Wow.
and won.
Yeah, and the
Yeah, it
following,
won. Yeah, I was gonna say it won.
and the following that they have, it's just nonsense. You're just believing that the sky's yellow, and you just keep saying it, knowing well that it's not.
Yeah, they always make it seem like you're under attack on that station. You're always under attack. Somebody's taking something. Somebody's enforcing something. Somebody's doing something to you. It's always something to you.
And it's like, when the last time you got anything taken from you? You're gonna be
Right.
real about it.
Right.
So what?
I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna do my best to find that clip and play it tomorrow because I want people to watch it. It was like it was amazing.
Oh, you should play it tomorrow. I'm not surprised because that station is the same all day, every day. Twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. So the papers that he had, I was trying to figure out, were they fake or did he take that from some other person?
I thought they were from somebody else. I thought they were real papers that just weren't his. Well, and I don't know if you quote unquote say take them, but
he borrowed.
I think they were just forged papers.
I'm gonna borrow those for a week.
Yeah, I think they just forged.
Let me hold those.
Yeah, let me hold those for a minute.
Yeah.
Let me try out them papers for a minute. So he ended up in Massachusetts, and that's where kind of the everything got started. And he gave his the first part that they talked about was, I come to tell you about slavery, which he said. He started off saying, I feel bound. And I mean, if I could play the speeches, man, if that don't get your the hair standing up on your neck, that don't give you goosebumps, you're not human. Because he was talking with experience. It wasn't as if he was saying, oh, this is something I've seen or heard. He was talking from experience.
Yeah, that was a moment to kind of tell them, like, this is what I've seen. This is what I've lived. This is what I breathe. Even when he said he was drinking from the slavery cup, it was just like, this cup is even in slavery. So it was just one of those things where it's just, he's trying to paint this picture. Well, I say trying, but he painted this picture that pretty much just kind of engulfs the moment and have you thinking like, man, this is what's happening, man. But and him being the father of the anti-slave group, I would say so. I guess we can give him that title. I would say so. But it's just one of those things where it was like, wow, man, him kind of further teaching himself, and the seed that was planted, learning how to read and write, and just kind of he took it from there and ran with it, and and this is my perspective, this is my experience, and I'm here to share it.
Yeah,
I'm here to light a fire, pretty much.
Right. I'm here to agitate you. I'm here to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. We are going to open up the phone lines as we continue to talk about this. 469-290-4367. Number is up on the screen.
469-290-4367. He's forgotten our little shit here. 1 week.
Let's see. We got a comment here about Raider Kev. Frederick Douglass speeches taught me how America saw me. They were so powerful. They were. Every last one of them. In the documentary I used to teach my students, I stated that Frederick Douglass attempted escape twice before he was successful. Okay. I also said his papers belonged to a friend, and the photo looked nothing, I'm assuming nothing like him. Yeah. That goes to that fact that we all just look like, quote unquote. Well, part 2 was I have no love for America. That was another one that and they said the audiences were amazed. I'm like, were you amazed enough to do something, or you were amazed to like a monkey at a zoo where you were impressed,
or were you like amazed featuring Frankie Beverly?
Before I let you go.
Thank you, A-Trap. I appreciate it. I appreciate you shaking your head in disapproval.
But see, okay, I'm gonna tear a little Band-Aid off again. I'm gonna expose. I sent y'all that clip. I found it.
Okay.
people always say abolitionists, and abolitionist does not mean you were anti-slavery. A lot of white people were abolitionists because they couldn't get paid for their jobs. Like, how would be a blacksmith, and you got Kunta over here, a damn blacksmith, and you ain't got to pay him, but you ain't gonna pay me. Right. So they was like freedom brothers. It wasn't like, hey man, this is wrong. None of that. It was, hey man, we gotta get Kunta them some money because I'm missing out. They were
right. Which brings up the age-old question: the right thing for the wrong reason.
Right.
Yeah. Look, doing the right thing to help yourself. Basically. All right. So the continuation of Charlotte's comment, like him, and included a photo of the person whose papers they were. Supposedly, the conductor got distracted before he could examine the papers closely. I don't think it's really that.
Somebody on the train yelled like, "Get your hand out my pocket!" So
it's true.
Yep,
it's all coming back now.
All coming back to us where it all started. We got somebody that said, "Hey, family, Theodora Harper in the building. Thank you for tuning in. One of the best names in BS3 Network audience. Kicking it with KC. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to his channel, as well as Raider Kev's channel as well. Let me make sure I get him shouted out on there. Appreciate you guys tuning in. So he was a great storyteller, which they talked about that, which I thought was 100% true. Just the way he was able to make you feel what he was saying. There's only certain. You have to be a great orator for people to be able to feel what you're saying, and not to just be bouncing off of you just like words. So I think that obviously that was clearly that was his gift. Some people have a gift, and we talk about gifts. Your gifts will make room for you, like it talks about in the Bible. His gift really made room for him. That's what he did. Then on.
Yeah.
And then, later on,
doubt.
they got positions in government and in office. But
they say most famous man in the 19th century through one means, his voice, and that's strong.
That is strong.
I mean, he like I said, when I was growing up, I mean, he was on every Black History poster. Teachers had him hung up in the classroom. I mean, it was. I mean, he's definitely a significant person.
Everybody done seen something like this.
Yes,
everybody done seen a photo, and that he. And I don't understand why I ain't got nothing to smile about.
Right. Do I look happy?
My, of course, as we've all stated, he's a powerful speaker, and I'm a fan of what we call word porn. And Frederick Douglass is the Ron Jeremy or John Holmes of word porn.
On the H right.
Wow.
Well, he threw out Ron Jeremy, so.
Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're a fan of word porn, you should be a fan of Frederick Douglass.
I thought you just meant porn. That's why I threw myself in.
Let's see.
The Fourcast hub is just Fourcast.
Thank you for tuning in. He said, "How can I get one of them shirts?" I don't think you got more of the Fourcast shirt.
We can figure something out. We can get you a BS3 Network shirt for sure. And next run of the Fourcast shirts, we'll keep your name. So just reach out to us, give us your information.
Oh, that's my pastor.
Okay, cool. Of course, you got to be subscribing to the BS3 Network and the Fourcast, and Queen 3 and King, and do all that. I'll give you some T-shirts. We didn't put your name on the back. Pastor Dodd.
Put Pastor Dodd on the back.
We appreciate you for tuning in, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And he wrote his autobiography. Like, I mean, most instances, the autobiography is written when you're gone by someone else. Yeah. Right? He wrote his own midway through his journey. I thought that was gangster right there. Like, I already did enough.
Yeah,
like,
matter of fact, they made a comment that says he wrote himself into history, with his speeches and his autobiography. So, yeah, So
Yeah, I'm, after watching this, I'm in once again, probably doing no service to Frederick Douglass, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he's a significant roadmap. I'm pretty sure.
CJ, you'll get yours when you start preaching. I give him the pastor here because he preached. When you start delivering sermons, I give you one too.
Man, Sermon on the Mount.
It is true. So it kind of went into the next kind of phase where he ended up he was a fugitive, obviously, because he got free, and he ended up going to England for a few years, and he would come back, then he would leave, then he would come back.
Yeah.
And I think
from what we gather, he was going there to let things cool off as he, like he became a best-selling author, and it's like, okay, they're gonna find out I'm a runaway slave. I need to get out of here while the heat's on.
Right.
Gotta get out of here. But that I think we've heard that with other, not necessarily during slavery, but for musicians and different people, they would go to England and they would be bigger and more famous and more.
Rick James, right?
Rick James,
Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie,
Jimi Hendrix.
What's my man name? Muddy Waters.
All of
99% of hip hop.
Yeah, true.
The non-popular version of hip hop, the quality music hip hop, they go overseas.
Oh, they blow up over there. On tour. I think Lauryn Hill's been over there touring
for years.
Yeah.
De La Soul. That's what they bread they butter their bread over there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a sad commentary that.
And even Japan, like I've heard, like Al Green has an album or something that was recorded in Japan.
Yeah. I saw that documentary too, Wilkes, where the Chinese, the Japanese dude has like 8 Al Green albums that we've never heard.
Never heard these songs. I was like,
it's a lot of artists. I apologize for the Asian community. I keep saying little because I'm so damn programmed to say little Asian, but this older Asian gentleman, I saw that. I don't remember what the documentary was, Wilkes, but it's like he is a Al Green fanatic. And y'all ready for this? He speaks 0 English.
What?
Yeah.
And he's got a whole room in his house dedicated to Al Green.
A lot of the soul artists have recorded albums.
He got like 8 albums that we don't know nothing about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Am I right? Am I remembering this right, Wilson? He even started to sing some Al Green.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was singing Al Green. Yeah, he started singing Al Green. I might have to find the name of that documentary.
He sound good.
Actually, he did. He was, you could hear hints of his accent, but he was sounding like your cousin singing Al Green.
Yeah, he had the mimic down and all. I mean,
he
at one point I think he said something like going to karaoke dressed like Al Green.
Yeah. Put him on karaoke, he'd be killing, man. Go like this. You know that old man that's dancing to the Chub Block thing on Instagram? He like that.
Oh, the trucker?
Yeah, 1990. Yeah, he that dude.
Man, and that goes back to music, which we talked about numerous times on this show, is that music isn't held by a state, by a country, or anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere, and it impacts you no matter if you speak that language or not.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is from Theodore saying, professional basketball players, sports. Yeah. Women in particular.
Yeah,
they play all over the world and they get paid way more than what they get paid here.
Yeah, friends to Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner is I believe she's still over there.
She's supposed to be out in May or something like that, but I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were saying May is when she's supposed to be released. I don't know the date, but because they pushed it to May. It was supposed to be in, I think, April or something like that, but then they extended it. So supposedly she's supposed to be released in May.
Well, Biden is in the hospital. And they took him to the hospital.
Oh, really?
And he couldn't stop pooping.
Was
Oh, wow.
man, man was watching the game. Wow.
One I think underlining thing that Frederick Douglass's main focus was to agitate and irritate. And he said there are cases that demand irritation. And this is when he came back. So when he came back from England, they were like he was on a whole nother tip. And I think probably because he got support, his book was selling, and he was I'm gonna take this thing and I'm gonna take it to the next level. Which, going to Wilkes's point, is where the Malcolm X I think side really came in. Malcolm X before Malcolm X. Right. It was like he was more militant, but he was just speaking the truth. Yeah. It wasn't militant. It was speaking the truth.
Right, really exactly. You know, because when you once again, see that's that agitation there. When you're agitated and I'm trying to stir something up, you think I'm being militant. I'm making you uncomfortable. You think I'm being rowdy, but I'm not. It's like that's the whole point of being agitated. Like I'm fed up with this mess. Like how can you walk this planet and think that it's okay to own other people and treat them like cattle? Like, are you kidding me?
Worse than
it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. And
it's almost like it's almost like when I watch this stuff, it's almost like who put you in charge?
Exactly.
Like how is this even okay? Like, are you serious?
Who said you had the bike shorts on with the clipboard and the
right? Like, come on, buddy, and the whistle around your neck. Come on, man.
Yeah, really.
Hey, man.
Come on, go Bert.
This is the part that kind of angered me as well, because then they got into his personal life, right? And they was like, what? And then the sister got on there with the feminist point. Well, how can you leave out your wife? Well, maybe because he's a runaway, and maybe because he knows people are going to try to kill him.
Right.
I don't need to be saying she with me too.
Right. Exactly.
Because that's going to put a light on her.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was assuming he was married. I didn't know who he was married to, but they gave us the information on her name, which was Anne or Anna.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the other documentary we did on the comedian Dick Gregory, which you traveling. You have to be a different type of person to not be at your home for weeks at a time.
Right.
And there was the type of transportation that they had. It wasn't as if he had a car. He could just drive home in 15 minutes. So, I mean, but I think probably with his wife, she knew what he was doing. It wasn't as if he was out there playing around. Right. She knew what he was doing. She knew that he was trying to bring people together, but also speaking the truth on what was going on. So I did kind of catch how they threw that in there. But we obviously can't hear anything from her. But goodbye him until she passed. So.
And then the beautiful part was, while they went the feminist route, he went the other way. He was like, "Hey man, I gotta get my act together. My old lady tripping." Right. Yep. And he telling the world he's showing 160 years ago how much reverence he had for his wife, because back then you could bust somebody in their mouth if they say something you don't like. And he writing letters saying, I need to get my act together because my wife telling me I'm getting mad too fast. My wife telling me this, my wife telling me that, which means I got to straighten up before I lose my wife. While y'all want to focus on, he was running around here dipping and dapping. He was sticking his pen in the company ink and all that. But y'all gonna make it seem like he tried to belittle that lady. But no, he wrote letters saying, I gotta get my act together.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that even Frederick Douglass was having wife problems. Pardon me, Pastor, but who the fuck are we?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, is it really a surprise? I mean,
Frederick Douglass. Got a
Frederick
nagging wife
motherfucking,
at home.
excuse me, hold on. Frederick motherfucking Douglass. Let's get it right.
Got a wife problem at the house.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Writing letters, you know.
His linguistics can't save him from that one. It's okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all right.
But I'm quite sure Coretta Scott and Betty and everybody and Megas and everybody. I mean, as Will just said, you have to be a special type of person. Okay, you're gonna be on the road 360 days of the year.
Come on.
These 5 better be wonderful, Jack.
That's what I'm saying. Come
As soon as
on.
you walk in the door, that timer is ticking.
Man, you already know what time.
Pick out
Yeah,
your picking out your afro and you tripping.
Right. Come on, man.
Little Fred acting up at school. I need you to go take him to school, talk to the teacher. I mean,
Right. So and see, and that's the part. Like, when have we ever heard? Like, see, this is the part I'm talking about, dog. What have we ever heard about Thomas Jefferson's wife? Andrew Jackson's wife, Abraham Lincoln's wife. But you do a thing on. I don't even know if Abraham Lincoln was married, but I do know he was married. I'm just saying, we don't even. What's this wife?
He was a pillow biter, wasn't he?
See, and that. But see, dog. That's why Gates. What you just did, you was joking. You was joking. But what you did was put an exclamation point on what I was saying. We don't know any dark stories of why don't the governance or the social structure, when they tell the Thomas Jefferson story, Thomas Jefferson story, they always talk about how he had a black wife and they had children in the side family. No, he was raping a little slave girl and took her around so he gets some easy access to.
She was traveling with him.
Yeah. And she was in a cave next to their crib. Knock it off. But we don't talk about that.
Right.
We talk about Andrew Jackson. He on the 20? But we don't talk about all them damn Indians he killed.
Oh yeah.
So Gates always, by the way, he was out there. It's always when you see Gates, you're gonna see black dude's life, white people's consequences.
Right.
Whenever you see Henry Louis Gates, everybody, I want you to listen in real close. I want you to think about this.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking every time you say his name.
All right, so let's get to this comment, Raider Kev. The Independence speech, man, that one was definitely. That was Nicole Bahari. She was the one that recited that one. But yeah, that's the truth. Like, that's how we should look at Independence Day. That's how we should look at it, because it was not for us. Like, they told him to go up there and say a speech on a day where you're not even free.
Right.
Exactly. You talk about Independence Day?
Independence Day, you still own slaves.
Serious.
Come on, man.
You want me to come up here and make y'all feel warm and fuzzy, like y'all really doing something? Yeah, that one hit hard.
Yeah.
Yep, they call it the oratorical masterpiece of the entire abolitionist movement.
Yeah.
What to the slave is the 4th of July.
Right.
Hey, man, if you want to hear it cold-blooded, listen to it when James Earl Jones do it. It's on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh.
Check that out.
You'll be like Eddie Murphy was in Trading Places. We got to kill these motherfuckers.
Overton Claiborne, thank you for tuning in. CJ, are y'all talking about his first wife, Helen, or Helen? We're talking about
First wife.
But Helen was the second.
Helen was the white girl.
Yeah, white. Mm-hmm. So he started the North Star paper, which I kind of talked about that in part 2, which I thought I wanted to definitely mention that to get his voice out even further. I mean, what better way to do it than you already wrote a book, start a paper, his voice was being out there, everywhere. And he was married for 44 years. 44 years. I figured he was married. I didn't know who he was married to, but they said he did keep it private, which I get it. You want to put your house all out there for people to come by and and wanting
Let's
to.
just be honest, man. This dude was a superhero.
Yeah.
And why do superheroes have secret lives? I mean, they have an alter ego, because if you find out who I love, if the Joker find out Batman smashing Michelle Pfeiffer, Michelle D.
Woman, yeah.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And see, that's the part that just.
If you start taking out all my side pieces, man, that's gonna be population control in this motherfucker. You know.
Hello, China.
These just jokes, Pastor. We apologize. We
Sorry,
still
Pastor.
love the Lord, and He's heard all our cries. I promise you.
That's the plea. By His stripes, I was healed.
Right. Part 4, they will fight with vengeance. And they talk about the Coleman Domingo, which is another really good actor.
That guy is blowing up too.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the first time I encountered him was on Fear the Walking Dead, and then he's been in like everything else since that. So he's definitely. I want to say he's in the Broadway a little bit, I think. But yeah, he's blowing up too.
May Rainey's.
He's directing.
Yeah. May Rainey's Black Bottom. He was in
Ma Rainey, man.
That's what I said, Ma.
You said May Rainey, man, like the month.
It may rain, yes. It may.
It may be rainy.
But yeah, he's
better wear them black bottoms. Don't wear your red bottoms.
In the rain, yes.
But he did a good job.
He's a Broadway guy for sure.
Okay, that's what I thought. I think he's a Broadway, but
matter of fact, he's won a Tony Award.
Oh, okay.
For best featured actor in a musical, man.
Wow. Yeah, no, he's big. I mean, that guy is going everywhere.
We appreciate you, Pastor Dodd. He said, "I'm enjoying you, brothers. We appreciate you."
Good.
The proclamation in the Negro Army, which he spoke on allowing black soldiers to fight, thinking that it was going to help change some things. Psych.
Hang on, I got a quick message for the pastor. If A-Trap ain't paying his tithes, man, holler at us and we can talk to him for you, man.
Horrible.
And he should not only be tithing with his monetarily, he should be tithing with his time and his talents as well. So just holler at us. If you need some assistance on that endeavor, I got you.
Next time I'm in Dallas, I'm cutting your time.
Wow. Oh,
but Doc, I wanted to go to you on this one.
Okay.
But he kind of touched on allowing black soldiers to fight in the army, which obviously they did.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily change anything. But if you fast forward to where we are now in the military, that was probably a integral moment there.
Yeah, he thought he continued to say, "Give him a chance." That was his tagline for several lines of his speech. Give him a chance, et cetera, et cetera. And he actually made a call to arms to him. He was encouraging the brothers to fight. You know what I'm saying? He was encouraging them to enlist. I see Pastor Todd. He's a good brother. He got to say that. What he gonna say?
Probably got him watching Pootie Tang or something.
That's next.
Part 2.
He can't publicly dish you. But yeah, so like I said, I think it was interesting that he reached out to the brothers, sign up, and he really had high hopes for what it would mean, and he was like, okay, wait a minute, we got actually brothers can legally kill white folks for the first time, and whatnot, so like I said, I don't think it went the exact way he thought it was going to go, but I think that was significant, and black soldiers have been, there have been some elite black soldiers, throughout the course of history that just don't get it, man. Don't get the credit that they are due. Some black pilots and, man, I mean, we get, so our history in terms of being soldiers as black men is well cemented, and that's one place to where you go to the VA hospital. When I say we soldiers, you get very little, they talking to us as if we black. We don't, it don't go down like that. You know.
Yeah, I was introduced to Doris Miller very early in life, and he was in Pearl, and he was a cook in Pearl Harbor and manned the gun
Mm-hmm.
and shot down some Japanese warplanes. So I mean, I was introduced to him very early on growing up through my grandmother. So that's always one person that definitely always stands out to me.
But here's a fun fact. Frederick Douglass did all that requesting that the black people get a chance.
Enlisted, whatever. Yeah.
And once they got enlisted, and then initially they were just basically cleaning up behind folks, picking up, burying people, picking up weapons out the battles and things of that nature. 8 months after they gave black people guns, the war was over.
Mm.
They were losing up until the point they gave black people guns. The war was over. They gave black people guns in September. In May, they was calling it was over. So, and shout out to Denzel Washington for winning that Emmy, or what is the thing, Oscar, for playing a brother who did exactly what he was talking about, and Glory for playing a brother who was like, I don't carry your flag.
Yeah.
I just want to kill me some more of these folks.
But yeah, that was a great comment though. That it gave you the power to kill your oppressor.
Mm-hmm. What more motivation do you need?
Exactly.
Right.
It was probably in stealth mode. It was like, I ain't dying today. I have to go y'all to hunt down. And then him speaking to Abraham Lincoln in the White House, like,
I wonder if there's more information on that.
Yeah, I think that was a big moment, but I think they touched on this for him. Think of all the work that you put into. People don't know who you are. You're not really. They said it multiple times. He wasn't in the crowd to be able to speak to these issues to the people that could do something.
Right.
So I think that was a big moment for him, and really for him to kind of like, I made it. And this was kind of towards the end. He had some gray hair at this point. So I think that was probably one of his most memorable moments.
Yeah, because they even talked about how, when he was going to introduce himself, and President Lincoln was like, I know who you are. That I felt like that was very significant for him.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of brothers walking around with a natural back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that. The most
Don King before Don King.
Exactly.
Only in America.
Only in America. Most photographed person of the 19th century. Awesome, man. Awesome photos, man. Everybody's seen an image of him, but the way they were able to zoom in on some of these, I thought really showed some details of him, and the artists and photographers did a great job.
Didn't he earn the nickname Black Lion because of his hair? Because of the way they had it? It looked like it reminded people of lion mane and some of the.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I've never heard it, but it makes sense to me.
I felt like he was nicknamed the Black Lion because of his hair, because of when they captured him in different portraits.
Either that, or he was when they was talking about when he was hollering at them chicks on the road.
Well, probably he lied.
But he used that to his advantage, which they talked about. Obviously, there wasn't social media, there wasn't any of this, but he wanted to be photographed so that people could see him.
Right.
And you really got to see him throughout from that young picture that they showed to really the very end. You got to see I wonder how often it was. There were so many photos,
Mm-hmm.
And then he was on Harper's magazine on the cover, which they said was bigger than Google and anything you can think of at that point.
So he was hotter than Kanye.
Wow.
But what's truly amazing on a serious note, how they kept him alive.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Because one of those Secret Service back then.
About that, yeah.
Right.
That's
yeah. Right. Because you would think, man, you speaking out against the oppressor, and oh man, you would think at least there was one or two in the audience, that try to assassinate him or something. But I mean, and once again, I mean, unless there's other book, which I've never heard of it, and like A-Trap was saying, they don't, the documentary wasn't really talking about him as a person. It was more of him as a speaker in his speeches. But who knows what? Maybe he did escape near death sometime, obviously with slavery, but throughout his course of living, maybe he did, and it just wasn't documented. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And when he called out Ulysses S. Grant at the statue thing,
Yeah.
I knew it was just. I'm surprised he didn't get a Lincoln man.
Right.
Yeah. 77. They said 77, 78 years old. That's a long time to be able to make it in the business he was in.
Right.
Especially back then. Yeah, when your average lifespan wasn't that high.
Right.
It wasn't about shaking hands and being nice. That wasn't his. That wasn't his mode.
There's a statement made toward the end of this thing where it says an argument must be eloquent to be persuasive. You must get to their intellect through their emotion. And that was his intent through his writing. Even in that 4th of July speech, they said when he came in, he'd used the sandwich approach, where he started out with some soft shoe. They said it was basically in 3 stanzas. So he started out talking about, look, I respect the forefathers. They signed the Declaration of Independence. They did, he gave him some credit, and then he dropped a bomb on him. And then he ended with some more, I still have hope.
It's cool flag though.
Kind of situation. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting when he said an argument must be eloquent to be persuasive. Very interesting.
I agree to that.
Always, I mean, from everything we've seen, he was always clean. Suit with a tie. It represented himself very well. I think.
And don't get it twisted. Eloquent don't mean soft either.
Yeah.
Right. Please don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Fred didn't look like he couldn't. Well, that's how he got his freedom. That's something else that he didn't mention. He just mentioned he got his freedom, but Fred got his freedom by beating the dude who owned him ass.
Wow.
He beat his ass and left him. That's what that's what I'm talking about. He kicked dude ass and was like, "We'll do something. I'm out of here, Jack." And left.
Exactly. I'm out.
And you know what? He said something that I was thinking. He said something that I was thinking at the beginning of this thing when they were talking about, he was out of Maryland, and he talked about how y'all look at this as the soft side of slavery. It looks like we get a call coming in.
We got a caller coming in.
Hold that thought, dog.
Yeah.
What's your name? What you want to talk about? Calling into the Fourcast.
What's up? This CJ calling in. What's good with y'all boys?
What's going on?
What's up, man?
How you doing, Papa?
It's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to say, I just had like a question. Do y'all guys feel like I guess we talking about the producer, Gates. Do y'all feel like that maybe he could have came like a little harder with the documentary, or do y'all kind of like the way he, set it up, or what's y'all stance on that?
I think he could have came with it a little bit harder. I mean, it was an hour, which was a lot of information to get in there. So I think he could have added a couple more details, maybe extended, in 15 minutes.
Well, for me, my answer is both. And that is, he could have come a little harder, but I like the approach. It's a very unique way to develop a documentary surrounded by speeches, like imagine a Dr. King documentary or a Malcolm X documentary that just went from speech to speech to tell the story, and what was transpiring to elicit the speech. Because generally with his speeches, there was a catalyst to it. There was a reason for it, right? So I thought that was a very unique way of telling them. So I give this documentary as a whole some points because of the unique style that they delivered it.
Well, even though I don't like Gates in the way he operates, I think it was great I think it was a great way to present it. I think, but my only issue, CJ, with Gates is if we're gonna talk about the forecast, you can't say Dolk is the man, Wilkes is the man. Ben and H-Rap, they cool.
Yeah.
Right,
You can't
Ain't
do
nobody
that.
come to see you, Otis.
Right. You can't just do that. If you going to, you can't say, you know what, dog, he's a real good guy, da da da. And then when
Right.
you get to me and Ben, you mention us and our flaws.
Mm,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Wilkes and Dalk, their flaws are not covered.
right.
If you're
That's
gonna
what's
talk
up.
about you're gonna talk about
Right.
flaws, you got to talk about all
Yeah.
our flaws
Yeah.
and all our positives. And in my personal opinion, Gates, he brushes over the flaws that are in American history, and when it comes to us, he highlights our flaws. And I was literally every time, and then you know the thing, CJ, I continue to watch his stuff because it's mad informative. But if you want a piece of what I'm talking about, I can't think of it right now. It's on Amazon Prime, and he does it. He does it in everything. It's some good information. Every documentary in the history of the world has a theme and a reason it's being made. And I always walk away from Gates' work going, why did you do this, Henry?
Right. If you're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story.
Right. That's all I have an issue with. But what it does is make, in my opinion, it induces you to continue to look.
Mhm.
If you're an inquisitive person, if you're a person who thirsts for information, he'll put you on the right path. But it's always a fork in the road with Dr. Gates. And
Hey, you know what, A-Trap? I was gonna say, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, I was done.
I do notice that. Oh, okay. Bet that. You know, I was gonna say, I do notice that. Now, I have not watched this one. You know, I haven't watched this one. But what I will say, and I will look at more of his work specifically, so I can like actually know what I'm talking about. But I do realize it is a lot of people when they want to do like documentaries and autobiographies, or especially on our people. You know, you have some that do like a real good job, but you have a lot of them, they want to depict only the bad. They want to, I was watching this one autobiography, and it wasn't the one with Denzel Washington. They was talking about, you know, like Malcolm X. They was talking about how he was more of a pimp, and how, you know, like his upbringing and just how it wasn't, you know, holier than, you know, it's like same thing with I forgot my man's from the Black Panther Party. What's his name? Cleaver.
Yeah.
That's, I know
Eldridge
that's
Cleaver.
yeah. Right. Yeah. They brought up a million times how he was like a rapist.
Yeah, no, from the Solo Nights book, right?
Right. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I ain't never said that, but I'm just saying
Right.
it's like you're overshadowing another black man's work, you know, in the community and what he's really doing.
Right.
Hell, at this point, it's a given that we all know Martin Luther King was cheating on his wife with a whole bunch of white women in his, you know, in his posse. But it's like y'all want to highlight that part, but nobody never, like, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, you know, when I typed that question, I was like, so what's your real motive? Are you trying to, you know, it's different. It's different when you're trying to say, hey, you know what? He was human. He made mistakes like we did, but look what he did, though. Versus, man, you see what this dude does? Man, hell, Malcolm X was a pimp. Hell, Martin Luther King wasn't. Like, you see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm going to have to get more into his works of Mr. Gates, because I know, you know, I've heard of him before, and I know he's up there as far as with black historians, but like I need to look more into his work, because honestly, I don't appreciate that. I really don't appreciate that, especially with us doing it. So
let me say this, CJ.
You know.
One thing you got to remember is, number one, when you asked the question, my answer was an easy one, and it was relevance. You know, what is his motive? Relevance, right? And when it comes to, you know, historians or documentary filmmakers, you got to understand that there is some artist in them, and artists are different in how they deliver information, and they're not. Sometimes it's not about the information. if that makes any sense. You know, that's misguided, right?
Yeah.
And whatnot. But sometimes for them, they lose sight of the information. In other words, they're human too, you know, and so when you get all these documentaries that are out there and there's so many different styles, and the reason why we can critique them is because everybody not coming at it from the standpoint of trying to enlighten and improve. You know, that's not what they're trying to do. You know, sometimes they just want to shine a light on something, you know, just to get some eyeballs on it, you know, just to get some numbers. You know, they're not necessarily are concerned with whether society restores and heals and get delivered from, you know, its history of sins, you know. So, and again, no knock necessarily on Dr. Gates because, you know, he's in his lane. But, you know, again, relevance at the end of the day is his currency.
Yeah. As I'm listening to CJ and Doc as they're talking, I think I'm hit with this. I don't know. I don't even know how to put it, but I feel like your flesh shouldn't determine your gifts outcome. I think
that's what's up, man.
I think
that's what's up. Stay with that.
Because you're in the flesh at times. That doesn't dictate or take away from your gifts. I think your gifts are separate. It's like your mind and your brain. The skull houses your brain, but your mind is inside your brain. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't allow the flesh to overshadow what gifts have been giving to help somebody else. You can still plant seeds and still have weeds on one side, but yet you still have crop on the other side.
Yeah, you know, and here this is where we end up back at so often, right? And we tell people this is not your mom and dad, it's Siskel and Ebert. Right. That ain't how we review movies, and that is not our intent. Our intent is to be inspired, just like David Wilkes just talked about right there, right? So basically, what he's saying in a nutshell is that the messenger is flawed, but the message is divine.
Right, the message is still going to get through.
Yeah,
it's just like
that's what's most important anyway. At the end of the day. Not me, you know.
It's just like when they preach about Jonah in the well. We forget that Jonah was reluctant to go speak to those people. He didn't want to go speak to those people, but God's word was still going to reach those people regardless. Mm-hmm. So I think as we operate and we dab in the flesh, I think the gifts are still going to reach their point.
That's right.
They're going to reach their point of destination.
Right. And don't look at their faces, speakers, you know, because their faces are not going to always be friendly, right? And you don't want it to deter your message. But think about it. The Bible is littered with people, right, who were flawed, but their gifts, you know, they still did what it was that they were brought here to do, right? Even Paul, right? I mean, hell, his flaw was killing Christians, right? Yeah, he's responsible for the most books in the Bible. So, yes, your gift will still come through. Same thing with David. You know, me and David, cousins. Hell, we like them women. But that don't mean, you know, it ain't going to stop me from being the most giving, forgiving, non-judgmental dude you'll ever come across, you know? So you're right. It's not, you know, your gift, your flesh does not override your gift.
Right.
Now, absolutely. Some people will try to make it that way.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Right. You know, I was just saying, because truthfully, I appreciate documentaries and autobiographies that keep it real, you know, that bring up the good and the bad, because when you start, you know, like bringing up this person, like back in school, I know school, you know, was different, you know, in y'all days, but still, it was the same message. Martin Luther King did not do any wrong. He was the face of, you know, this, that, and the third.
Still the right.
I mean, and trust me, and I'm not trying to take away from, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm not saying none of that, but you know, that's why I was saying, you know, that's why I like the good and the bad. You know, you take the good and the bad. You say, hey, he wasn't perfect. Hell, he was doing, you know, A, B, Z, and D, you know, but at the same time, you still bring up, you know, what he was doing. And that's all I was just trying to see, you know, like what was Homeboy's motives? Because if you already starting off, like, you know, hell, if you start off, well, Martin Luther King was a great man. He stood up for rights. He stood up for equal rights for black and white. Versus you start off, well, Martin Luther King wasn't the best brother out here. He was out here cheating on his wife with a whole bunch of white women. But, you know, I mean, he was still looking at it, but he just wasn't perfect. He was still, you know, so you see how the narrative changed. That's why I was just like, let me see what his real intent is, what his motive is, because you do have some people, like they want to start off on the bad. You want to make the whole documentary 70% or 60% of what he or she could, like they could have done, and then you want to, but he was a good person, though. Hey, black man, for us, this, that, and the third. So that's all I was just trying to see. I was just trying to see, like where he truly stands with him and like what he's really saying. Because when you want to start bringing up somebody's, not perfect upbringing, then you just like, okay, so why'd you say that? Did you just say that because that was actual facts? That was, that's something he did? Or were you just saying it just because, you're trying to downplay his work?
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate your call, CJ. We're going to let you go because we're going to wrap it up and give ratings and stuff here soon. But let me just say this. Dr. Gates is just like the people who he do documentaries on. He's flawed. Right. And we can't let his flaws take away from the information. Even A-Trap said that, right? He says, hey, he got some good information, so I think that's, we have to apply the same courtesies to him in terms of saying, we know it ain't all good, and we got to get to a point. See, me and A-Trap have gotten to a point, man. We've grown so much in our relationships. A-Trap will tell you, me and A-Trap don't agree on everything, but what's funny is almost like we get closer every time we disagree. Think about that for a second. Right. That's generally the opposite of what takes place in a situation. But we get closer every time we disagree. There's a newfound respect and appreciation as far as I'm concerned. And guess what? That's what we should be doing here as a society. We should be able to have conversations and be disagreeable sometimes, but it's not disrespectful and it's not dry. So even when we criticize Dr. Gates, we love you, brother. But hey, we trying to
y'all love
it. We love you, but hey, even this thing up a little bit.
Right.
Take your hand off my neck. Take your knee off of my neck. Whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, hell, he flawed just like everybody else. But I want to you got to have a cafeteria mentality, and that's you got to pick, choose, and refuse. You ain't got to eat everything. It's a buffet. It's not designed for you. Everything ain't for you that come out of his mouth or that he puts out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate you, CJ.
CJ, the documentary is Emancipation Road. It's on Amazon Prime.
All right, I got you. I'm a search for it, but hey, y'all be easy. By the way, Ivan, my search size is a large, so if you want to send
me. Hey, you're breaking up, CJ, but we appreciate you, man, for calling in. Even though Ben had Raider Kev on the line the whole time, I don't know what he doing over there.
What you mean?
You saw that? I saw you take it off. You had it when it comes up, it shows Raider Kev on the line. You didn't see that down there the whole time?
No, it says CJ.
No, it says CJ on my end.
No, it said Raider Kev on the line on my end.
It says CJ Boyd on
now line. It says CJ Boyd.
I said that the whole time.
I kid you not. On my end, it said Raider Kev on the line the whole time. Not kidding.
That's weird.
Not kidding.
All right. So 5 speeches. Towards the end, his wife died in 1882, which that hit him hard. They said he almost went into a depressive state. He then married Helen Hitz. And did y'all know that? Did y'all know at all that he married his second wife was a white woman? I don't know.
It was. I heard it growing up, but it was touched on very little. Like it was.
I didn't know at all. I didn't know.
Yeah. It was touched on very little.
I noted it.
He had to cut his salt intake out, so that's why he went. Blood pressure to get down.
He had to get that teacher he had back in the day.
I was her. I was our daughter.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah,
keep it in the family.
All right, we got another caller here. I think I may know who this is.
That's Janice.
You calling into the Fourcast? What's your name? What you want to talk about?
Yeah, this is Frederick Douglass, man. I'm gonna be quick. I know you guys trying to wrap it up. I just wanted to make a few points, man.
No
How you guys doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
You little.
Good.
You all right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm good, man. I'm fantastic.
Okay.
Still under the weather, but I'm fantastic, man. But I understand the criticism about Gates. You just look at the title, right? And when I saw the title, I thought I was getting something that I really desired. And I'll tell you a little backstory real quickly, but the title says his speeches. And we should have emphasized that he did. He really did a great job of talking about the speeches and breaking down the time frame of the speeches and how it related. He did a good job of that. But just keep it to the speeches. If this was a story about Frederick Douglass, can't say that word right now, life, then you can include all the stuff that you want to include. But when you have a title in 5 speeches, let's talk about that. And the reason why I say that is because I took Black History in high school. My teacher, she was a great teacher, man. She spent
fine?
Here just on Frederick Douglass. And he was able to emphasize to us how profound his words were to how we should see ourselves and how America sees us as Black people. And and it formed, I said in the chat room, it formed my opinion about how I saw myself. My parents did a great job of raising me. I'm not saying that, but the way he wrote, the way he spoke, right? It gave me a better insight of who I was as a Black man. And it gave me a better perspective of how white people or Americans saw me.
I see it.
And that was that to me, the message, and it wasn't lost in the documentary, but that's what should have been the only message. You know what I'm saying? With that title, that should have been the only message because it's so profound.
Yeah, and once again, like you said, it should have just been focused on his works versus on trying to weave in a little.
But I don't know. I think you got to be able to, you got to walk to what led to this speech.
And I think that's
and I think in addition, when you talk about your wife, you start talking about personal life. Apparently, she contributed to his writings, which is why she had a problem with the fact that.
I like the fact that they kind of weaved in some of that personal life into the speeches because it was a part of who he was. Yeah. Just to kind of still give you a little sneak peek, but
the only thing with that, Wilson, I understand what you're saying, but that to me would have been a story about Frederick Douglass.
I got you. I get it. You just want to hear about his works and what he.
Well, Randy Cam, you write you a documentary then, man. If you want to do it that way.
Hey, look, I'm trying to figure out what I was anticipating. I should say.
Right.
When I
absolutely.
When I saw the title, I thought I was about to go back in high school, and it was relatable to me because I'm like, okay, this is what forms my opinion about America and myself. Right. I'm going to be, not introduced. I'm going to be reliving this.
Right.
And then he started talking about his life, and I'm like, well, that's not what the speeches were about. The speeches were about America, and the Black man, and woman. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about his personal life. So why are we talking about that?
That's a good point.
Title the documentary, Frederick Douglass' life, not his speeches, because the speeches was about America and the Black man. So that was my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
We appreciate you.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one, man. Appreciate it.
Next time when you call back with a better opinion.
Okay, I sure will, man. I tonight. I'm good.
All right. Later, man.
Brother Kev, appreciate the call in. All right, so let's go ahead and round this thing out. A couple things I do want to point out. Mavericks just won.
Yep.
110
without Luka.
Luka. Jalen Brunson dropping 41. Maxie Kleber with 25. Spencer Dunwoody with 17.
Yeah.
Also, rest in peace, DJ K. Slay. If y'all seen that news today.
AKA Smack Your Favorite DJ.
Right.
Drama King.
Drama King, exactly what I was thinking of.
Jalen Brunson went off with 41.
Yeah. Yeah.
41.
That's the best
41.
kept secret in the NBA.
Yes, sir. I said
Oh,
that when they
absolutely.
drafted him, man. I was so happy they picked that kid up. Championship pedigree, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Daddy
Don't
damn.
sleep on it.
I wish I still had some of them K-Slate mixtapes, though. I don't know what happened to them.
Man, I used to have a gang of them joints, man.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to those. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the ratings. Let's get to the final thoughts first. And I just want to mention this with my final thoughts. He gave his final speech, 1893, during that year. And his last words in the speech, or to, maybe in that speech or somewhere in there, was agitate. It wasn't kumbaya. It wasn't let's love each other. It was like, let's agitate, which is what
he was trying to make you folks understand it ain't over.
Right, exactly.
We got work to do still.
Over, that don't mean it's over.
Yeah.
So that's my final thoughts. We'll go to A-Trap.
I thought his last words was to hell with them crackers, but
he probably said that when he was backing away from the mic.
Yeah, when he was laying in the bed, hell with them crackers. Man, went out. But no, man. Like I said, man, Dr. Gates, he gives good information. I just don't think he spreads the peanut butter across the whole slice of bread.
That's what's up.
That's all I get. That's the only issue I got with Dr. Gates. He put a lot of peanut butter right here, and then you got a lot of jelly, and the sandwich is off a little.
It's because that bread started breaking up.
Right.
Matter of fact, let's try to get Dr. Gates on and discuss that with him.
No, he don't want to talk to me.
Well, we let's find out. Let's just ask him some tough questions. He may be able to win us over. Remember, it's the spirit of the conversation, right? So we're gonna keep an open mind and listen to him, see what he got to say. And guess what? He may change his approach.
We could get Spike Lee on next. So we already.
We definitely ain't getting Spike Lee on.
A-Trap scared of Spike Lee, man.
Man, Spike Lee got beef. He might meet one.
All right, final thoughts, Wilkes.
No, I think the show was done very well, or documentary was done well. I mean, I know, of course, as I'm watching and I see Dr. Henry Louis Gates, I'm like, oh gosh, this ain't gonna go well. But no, I really enjoyed it because, like I said, I started watching this and then I had stopped, and I don't know if because H-Rap brought it up before, or I don't know why I didn't.
Brady Kemp always brought it up.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay,
AKA Janice, his wife.
Oh, gotcha.
Husband.
But
wow. All right, Ben.
Oh,
Genesis husband.
All right, Ben.
Exactly.
Man.
All right, Ben.
Yes.
Wow. But anyway,
We know Janice.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just saying. Okay, Ben.
Jeez, man.
Dipping your toes in some cold pool water.
It say James Brown, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
But no, it was done well. I thought it was done pretty well. I love the speech deliveries, from the actors and the featured guests. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Even the book that they were using, I think my mom has that autobiography. I think she has that book. When I saw the cover, when he was the gentleman was opening it there on the pedestal, I was like, I think we have that book, but I'd like to read through that book again. But no,
I thought the white cat they had in the documentary was really good, man.
Yeah, he seemed to be really
just deliberate. Yeah,
David Blight, I believe.
Blight,
yeah. I thought he did a fantastic job of illustrating to us who Frederick Douglass was. To be perfectly honest with you, I got a lot of insight as far as that is concerned. And he broke down the fact, he's like, he was intending to do this and he accomplished that here by, whatever. He was on it as far as I was concerned.
He has a book called Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom.
Wasn't he in another documentary I thought we did? I felt like he was in another one he looked familiar.
Yeah, he did look familiar.
I've seen him before. I don't know what he was in. All right, Doc, any last?
Yeah, and what is interesting for me is that we're dealing with Frederick Douglass, a man who was not just one of a kind; he was the only of his kind at the time. Yeah, absolutely. That's a whole different set of rules and standards, and a whole different ball game there. He was the only one of his time, not just a one of a kind. There had never been anything else like it. And the benefit that anybody who's come after him or has come since has is the fact that there was someone else like that, or there was
It's
someone
funny.
else similar, or there's a track record or a blueprint or whatever, and there was none for him.
It's funny
So-
you say that because I was looking up David Blight, like where I may have seen him before, but I came across there's actually a book that he has called Frederick Douglass, The Prophet of Freedom. So, like you said, there's been no other like him, at that
Yeah.
moment. So,
All right, let's get to the ratings. 1 to 5 mics, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I'll go ahead and kick it off. I'm gonna give it a solid 4. I think it was solid. I'm not. It's better than average.
yeah.
I think 4. I did learn some things. I am gonna get that book, and I think it just shows you who he was in his words, and you didn't hear him say it. You heard other people say it that we know their voices. So well done. So I'm gonna give it 4. Doc?
I was at a 4 myself, right at a 4. It was good information. It wasn't too long. See, I like the fact, that's another thing too. America has a very short attention span, right?
Mhm.
So to be given, documentaries, especially, right? Unless it's really well done and the source material is really captivating, you better be wrapping it up, in an hour and a half at the most, So like I said, I thought it was well done, and and again, it gives me, anytime you can walk away and say that the subject matter or the figure that was studied, you got a different perspective, a newfound respect for who he was, and a different and so think about it. Even though they gave the negative information, I still walked away thinking better of Frederick Douglass than I did before I watched the documentary. And I think that says volumes.
And to Raider Care's point, for a split second, I did say, "Oh hell, we're gonna find one white guy to be in here." But I easily
But
backed
see,
away
think
from
about this. That's a
I
great
get it.
question and great to consider. But think about this for a second. Doesn't that do good for white America to see
Right.
a white guy
Yeah.
showing the reverence and respect that he has?
Right.
And if he's a respected dude, then they're gonna be like, you know what, maybe I'm being stupid.
Look how many people of the white culture that die. We have so much information out there about us as a people. They remain ignorant to the fact that it's like we're not keeping you from this knowledge, this information. So yeah, when it's a two sides for me. It's like, oh great, they got another. Of course, they're gonna find some white people to be in here, but then it's like, oh okay, I get it. I understand.
If it's the right person, the right white person, then you bring them on. I don't know if y'all seen this lady who talks about how silly it is, the thought of people being prejudiced against us. She's a little older black white lady, and she wears glasses, and she talks trash to them.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, she just, there you go, maybe that's her. She's talking about how ignorant people are, and she's like chopping them up,
Right.
And so, you have to ask yourself, in some ways, people like that can do more good than even some of our limitations can do. Because again, the thought process is already there for them that we're less than. So when we're expounding and giving you the information, you're going to be less likely to receive it than you're receiving it from someone who looks like you, who came from where you came from. She looked like your auntie or your mama or your whatever, so she may have some more power. So I want those people to continue to speak as long as they're saying the right shit.
Yeah. And I'll say this too: the fact that he wrote a book, I mean, he was a historian on Frederick Douglass. Like, you need people that know him and can recite what he did to be in stuff like this. So I was thinking that too, but then when I looked him up, and I was like, okay, he wrote a book. He knows.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't come across to me at all as an attention whore. He was trying to grab attention from this thing. He seemed like he was seeming like he was trying to that he was passionate about what he was saying, and that he was in awe of Frederick Douglass himself. Like, he was fascinated by the dude, and could not. I bet you he came across as somebody who I'd have did this for free. You know, I'd have talked about him
right,
for free.
right,
I'm
right.
so
Yeah.
intrigued by
I'm
this
so
dude.
enamored by this guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how he
Oh
came.
yeah, I definitely had to catch myself there because I was like ready to care. It was like, oh great, but then, like you said, it's like we need that forefront, that stage, whatever it is. We need that
Yeah.
forerunner at
Yeah, it's a
any.
balanced approach. You know, this war, and that's what
Right,
we're in, right? You know, the race war ain't never ended.
right.
Okay.
Oh
And
no,
this
no,
war needs all kinds of weapons and
right.
resources, you know, and we got to deploy. We're not just going to release archers and then
Yeah,
that's it. That's all we
right,
got is archers, you know. Now the
right.
catapult need to come, and now we need to send the grunts in and start trying to crawl over the wall. And now we
Yeah.
need to, you know what I'm saying? We need to use a varied attack.
Multifaceted.
There you go. So yeah, I got no problem with it, man.
Yeah.
All right. You're right. It was a good look. Sometimes I'm just selfish with our culture. I think we have to be that way.
Yeah, it's a
We have
culture
to hold
worth.
people
It is
accountable.
a culture worthy of being selfish. You know,
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's to be
Right.
protected. Anything of value, and this is of great value, right? You know, is you hey shit, yeah, we want to keep it to ourselves. Think about it in this way. Think about the island that is the most beautiful thing that is out there, or the beach that is the most beautiful beach out there. Yet it's a secret that only the locals know about. You know, yeah, the more beautiful, the more precious it is, the more you want to protect it, you know, and be selfish with it. And that's how I look at our race.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to hold people accountable. So if he came on here talking some BS, then we would have been
We're
like,
going to light his ass up just like we light
Right.
Henry Gates up, you know.
Right.
all right,
And probably quicker to light their ass up, probably.
Oh yeah.
Because it sounds so much more disrespectful as far as I'm concerned when it comes from somebody who don't look like us, you know.
Right.
Exactly.
I concur.
Yes.
Will, your rating? Did you give it already?
I'm right there with the 4. I think it's a solid 4. I felt like that, and like I said, I think this mixture of the speeches and the featured guests that delivered those speeches, I just think it was done well, and even just a little backdrop to who he was in a small little window there. I mean, I enjoyed it.
I know what I was going to talk about real quick.
Like this, I don't know if I've seen anything like this.
Remember, A-Trap, I was about to start talking about the aspect of Maryland, and they talked about how it was a softer side of slavery, so to speak, right? For lack of better terms. And so I thought that going in myself is that, oh, he was from Maryland. Shit, okay, their slavery wasn't the same as, you know, Tennessee, you know what I'm saying, or Louisiana, wherever, you know, Mississippi, you know, Alabama slavery. But he dispelled that so quick. He's like, you really? He go, okay, fine. You know, but if you see what I seen, he goes, that's even worse. If what I'm telling you is bad, and you saying this is a softer state, in as far as slavery is concerned, then my God, what must be happening in, you know, Mississippi, Alabama, and West Virginia, or wherever, you know. So I thought that was interesting, you know, that they, you know, because again, my mentality went there. I'm like, okay, this is Maryland. This ain't you already up north. He was talking about I'm going north. Well, shit, you are
already
north, you know. But it's
slavery
interesting.
is slavery. I think, and he eloquently spoke. All right,
Well, initially I was gonna give it a 5, and then I saw Dr. Gates, so I ended up getting it a 4.
Landslide.
4 across the board. 4 across the board. All right. So highly suggest you watch this HBO Max. Frederick Douglass in 5 speeches. I think one of a kind. Definitely one of a kind.
What's that, Neo?
Shout out to new viewer, the Sports Dude Hines Show. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Make sure to follow and subscribe to him. I think that's a Bengals. Channel, I believe. So next week sounds like we won't do next week. It's looking like the week.
No, y'all can do it. I'll just be out of town, but You know.
So what I was thinking, we need to do a throwback. I think the last one we did was Penitentiary. We definitely not doing Penitentiary 2. I don't need to see no more Penitentiary.
He said, "I'm good."
The Color Purple. Color Purple's on HBO.
Oh.
No, not the Color Purple. I'm sorry, Purple Rain. But I don't know if that's any better. I haven't seen Purple Rain.
I've never seen The Color Purple.
We don't need
And
to do
I can do this.
Gosh, man.
Look, and I own it.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Somebody said, "Oh no."
Yeah, no. Oh god.
Okay, Black Swan suggested this movie on Amazon Prime called Alice.
Alice. I have to look that up.
I've heard nothing but the most goodest commentary about this. Oh, and if y'all looking for a TV series to watch 61st Street. It's in Chicago. Courtney Vance, Angelou Ellis. It's pretty good.
That's right up our alley.
Only seen the first episode. It is in Chicago. It's on the south side. But it's pretty good. I would suggest it's on Apple TV.
Stir Crazy is that's a Richard Pryor joint, so we don't do a lot of comedy on here, right?
Or we could do a Richard Pryor.
We're gonna go comedy.
No, man.
Sarate.
Oh gosh.
Sarate.
That was Charlotte's. I mean, that was Theodora saying, "Oh no, South Side." He said, "Oh no," twice.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part of town. Right out that window.
So, what did you say, Doc? What we got on the list? I don't know if we got anything else on the list.
That came from the list. Stir Crazy.
Stir Crazy.
So you got Stir Crazy, Trading Places.
You can't go wrong with Trading Places.
Yeah, you got we had talked about Queen and Slim before, Foxy Brown, Dolomite, Blade.
Foxy Brown.
I don't know if y'all seen the Aretha Franklin movie with Jennifer Hudson. That's strong.
I have not, but I heard it's good.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I heard it was good.
That's strong.
Well, okay. Let's do a throwback because Dawkins not going to be here, right? And then we'll do a current movie when he's back.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Trading Places then?
Who they? No. Trading Places. I got that movie. I don't even need to watch that. I watched that.
Really? I watched
that 450,000 times. If they ever do a remake of Trading Places, they can get me to do that. Because y'all ain't jacuzzi no damn body.
Really, Billy Ray Valentine.
Capricorn.
All right, so Trading Places next week. Y'all haven't seen it yet. Y'all late as
it's a miracle. I can walk. I can my leg.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
One of the coolest people I know just watched it.
Yeah.
Sparkle.
Hey, and then we could see Slim with all that sweat on his head. Philip Michael Thomas, boy, that boy was sweating like a runaway slave, Jack.
I'm a karate man. I bleed on the inside. You wouldn't know that because you're a big Barry White looking motherfucker.
It was a
classy laugh,
man. You're the most right, man.
We got a lot of people in that movie, man.
Who's been putting out their clothes on my floor? Who's been putting out their clothes on my floor?
He asked it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is Sparkle like is that based on a true story? Or that's just a.
I think that's just. I don't know. That's from the set. Hey man, me and my mama went to see Sparkle, Jack. Yeah. At Harper's Theater, Jack. Me and my mama, my sisters went to see that. 1975, something like that, man.
Appreciate you, Charlotte. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here. We'll have Sybil Wilkes coming up with things you need to know right after A-Trap. We say Pootie Tang. I have a dentist appointment that night. That night.
He like Pootie Tang. He hating. He hating, but he like it. He told me he liked it. I get it. But he like Pootie. And
we need to do in a few weeks the Queen of Basketball, that
Yeah.
Shaq and Curry won they won a Oscar for.
What is that on? What is that on? Is that
I
even out?
don't know. It's out, yeah, but I'm not sure the network just right.
Oh,
just
by
quite.
next week, Magic Johnson's series will be out.
Oh
They
yeah.
call me Magic.
Yeah,
They call me
I
Magic.
saw some trailer for it on HBO.
Yeah, but I thought that was some love for the female queen of basketball. You know, they talked about what arguably was the greatest woman in female basketball history.
Yeah.
Oh, the lady from Korea.
Now she black lady locally, as far as I know.
I think she played. She got drafted in the NBA. I don't know if she played. Candace
Oh, the
Owens-
sister that got drafted by the Pacers. Yeah, yeah.
It says the initial release was last year, but maybe it was just in theaters.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
But anyway, that's just on our list. But we appreciate you, good folks.
Ready.
Thank you, A-Trap.
So what is we gonna do next week? Do I just go into
Trading
my
places.
trade
Trading
place?
places.
Okay.
Oh,
It'll be
yes.
the Freecast next week.
Classic, man.
That is definitely a
I need to
classic.
watch that right
Classic
now.
game. Eddie, that's a game. All right, A-Trap.
As y'all know.
Oh, sorry, hold on. What's coming up on Queen and King tomorrow? I almost forgot.
Oh, tomorrow, financial infidelity. We basically are talking about financial infidelity and its effect on relationships, you know, and that can be a number of different ways. We're going to hit the angle talking about back in the day where women used to have to keep a nest egg and hide a little money and stuff like that, you know. So whenever people betray each other, their significant others in relationships with finances, we're going to talk about it. We'll have Justin Caraway on from Elevate because he's in the financial services industry. We'll also have Pastor D.P. Dawkins of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church will pop on because he's been in the financial sector for an extended period of time, and he serves as the president of the, I think it's the Economic Business Development Association or organization of Wiley. So, so we should have a good show with regard to that, and we're gonna do it the Queen 3 and King style, you know, with a lot of humor.
Right here on BS3 Network, all of the avenues: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and BS3 TV. So make sure check that out tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, and End of the Bench tomorrow.
Oh, I'm gonna talk about a few things. Talk about this food shortage. Well, actually, I'm talking about the formula shortage. They're saying that they don't have formulas for babies. Could this be a good thing?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about police brutality and training. I am really going to reach out to a few Congress people on this one. I got two things I'm passionate about in regards to the police reform. The first, criminal justice reform. First one is when you get out of jail. I'm not going to talk about this tomorrow, but when you get out of jail and let's say you do something, you're 22 years old. When you're 32 years old, you shouldn't have to pay for that when you're 52 years old,
Right.
or 38 years old. You know, if you've done your time, why are we paying? Why am I listed as a felon for all my days? I shouldn't be a felon for the rest of my life. The thing that I'm talking about tomorrow is we got to do something about this pipeline from if the Federal Bureau of Investigations stated that in 1992 or 1993 that the military and the police forces are being infiltrated by white nationalists. How is it that you still have this direct pipeline from the military to the police officers? You can see in which the way these people are acting that they are acting with the military programming. When they knocked this 75-year-old white man down, he had a brain injury. He's laying on the ground and blood is oozing out his ears. You shooting a brother in the back of his head, face down on the ground. That's somebody, we need to start doing this. And I'm gonna talk about how at some point, since it's only a few bad cops, and this is the most stressful job in the world, you need to have 4 months on the street, 1 month in the office, and the only way you can go back to the street is if you talk to a therapist and get cleared to go back out. Not who the hell wants to be in a stressful situation 365 days a year? 52 weeks a year, or 50 weeks a year if you get 2 weeks vacation. You got 50 weeks a year, and you get 2 weeks to decompress. No, you need to be, says the state of New York, the city of New York is using $5 billion. That's not million. $1 billion for that police force. They ain't no way in hell you ain't got therapists and everything, and you got like us four. We on the street January, February, March, April. We need to be sitting in the office doing paperwork and talking to somebody about what the hell happened the first 3 months of the year, 3-4 months of the year.
Right.
And if we're still stretched out and all that, you can't go back out until you get your act together. So I'm gonna talk about that.
All right. Let's go ahead and close it out.
As usual, shout out to Craig Smith. Shout out to Reggie O'Shea, aka Combat Jack, the Power Father. He the dude, one of the dudes who inspired me to do this. And as he would close out, he rest in peace. Oh, by the way, even this might be TMI. I'm going to get a what is it? I'm going to see a proctologist soon, and all the brothers need to do that too, because that's how Reggie O'Shea is not here.
Oh wow!
You know, so
cancer.
Yeah. Yep. And he didn't know until it was too late. So as he used to say, dream your dreams, and man up and woman up and live your dreams. Because life without dreams flows to black and white, and life with dreams flows to technicolor and surround sound. And as usual, it was Easter Sunday yesterday. I hope everybody had a great Easter Sunday. And if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, come to 4104 West Roosevelt Road, Chicago, Illinois, and get it from God.
Peace.
We'll see
Sybil
you.
Wilkes, what you need to know.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Monday, April 18th, 2022. Number 1, Republicans in the U.S. House killed a bill to rename a federal courthouse in Tallahassee, Florida, in honor of the late Justice Joseph Hatchett. The justice was the first black man to serve on the Florida Supreme Court and the first black judge to be appointed to a federal appeals court south of the Mason-Dixon line. The bill, sponsored by Florida's 2 Republican U.S. Senators, Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, was passed in the Senate by unanimous consent in December. The House was ready to follow suit until freshman Congressman Andrew Clyde stepped in with the last-minute protest. The Georgia Republican objected to Justice Hatchett's 1999 ruling that blocked student-approved prayers at public school graduation ceremonies in Florida. Florida Representative Vern Buchanan, who co-sponsored the bill, could not explain why he voted against his own bill, answering, "I don't know," when he was pressed by reporters. Number 2, over the course of 1 week, Republicans in 3 states passed some of the most restrictive abortion laws. Oklahoma Republican Governor Kevin Stitt signed a bill that makes it illegal to perform an abortion except in medical emergencies. Wednesday, Kentucky Republicans overrode the veto of Democratic Governor Andy Beshear to outlaw abortions after 15 weeks. And Florida was the latest of the Republican-majority states to move forward before the case of a Mississippi law banning abortion goes before the U.S. Supreme Court in June. That's a decision that very well could overturn Roe v. Wade. Number 3, the U.S. is trudging into what could be another COVID-19 surge, with cases rising nationally and in most cases after a 2-month decline. Experts warn that the coming wave caused by a mutant called BA2 that's thought to be about 30% more contagious will wash across the nation. They worry that hospitalizations, which are already ticking up in some parts of the Northeast, will rise in a growing number of states in the coming weeks. Number 4, according to a new report, a majority of Black Americans say being Black is central to how they think about themselves and shape their identities. The results pinpoint the critical role race plays in shaping identity in the United States. The report also points to how the importance that people place on being Black fosters a sense of connectedness among communities. Number 5, 2 weeks ago, Elon Musk announced his purchase of 9% of Twitter. This week, the South African-born businessman announced his intention to pay $42 billion to own the social media platform. As a result of the potential multi-billion-dollar purchase, Twitter has enacted what's known in the business takeover world as a poison pill. The poison pill is the shareholders' plan to prevent either the takeover of the company or, at the very least, slow things down. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Sometimes you have to let some things or some people go in order to grow. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with comedians extraordinaire Chris Paul, Huggy Lowdown, and social justice activist Coy Malone as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SibylWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.